Imagine living every day under the cold and cruel gaze of someone who takes pleasure in human suffering. Now, think of thousands of helpless prisoners subjected daily to the relentless brutality of a young Nazi guard who became known as the Hyena of Auschwitz. This was the terrifying reality imposed by Irma Grese, one of the most shocking criminals of the Third Reich. But who was this woman who instilled fear even in her Nazi colleagues? What crimes did she commit, and how did history finally bring justice to her victims? Her mother, Berta, committed suicide after discovering that her husband was having an affair with the daughter of a local merchant. She worked under Dr. Karl Gebhardt, who would later become known for performing cruel experiments on prisoners in concentration camps. Grese dreamed of becoming a nurse, but her inadequate academic performance prevented her from pursuing this career. In 1941, at the age of 17, she was sent to a dairy farm, where she operated machinery in the butter production process. The female supervisors, including Irma Grese, were tasked with ensuring that women not only performed their tasks, but were also subjected to constant humiliation and physical punishment. Prisoners were subjected to cruel and painful procedures. Many had their legs broken with hammers so that the doctors could study bone regeneration under different conditions. Others were deliberately infected with dangerous bacteria in open wounds, and substances like sulfanilamide, one of the first antibiotics, were tested in an attempt to control infections. It is believed that by the age of 18, she had assisted in the medical experiments conducted at Ravensbrück, which may have contributed to the brutality that would define her actions in the years to come. According to reports, he severely punished her with a belt and forbade her from returning home, severing their family ties. Irma stayed connected to the Nazi regime this time, and her journey within the concentration camps would continue, leading her to commit even more atrocities in the following years. And her angelic appearance, which contrasted sharply with her violent actions. Her figure became synonymous with fear and suffering. However, when Grese lost interest in them, these victims were often sent directly to their deaths. Despite her relationship with SS members, Grese couldn't escape the condemnation of her own peers. She was finally captured and executed in 1945, becoming one of the most notorious figures in the history of the Holocaust. When Joseph Mengele found out that she had maintained relations with Jewish prisoners, a severe violation of Nazi ideology, he broke all ties with her, providing a clear example of how even within the Nazi regime there were rigid divisions over certain actions. Reports of Irma Grese's cruelty are numerous and shocking. In one notorious case, she took revenge on a Georgian prisoner who rejected her advances by dragging his naked girlfriend across the camp and brutally beating her in front of other prisoners. The woman was later sent to the camp's brothel, where many prisoners were forced into sexual slavery. In addition to her extreme violence, Grese also maintained relationships with SS members, including the cruel Dr. Joseph Mengele, and with prisoners. Her beauty was often highlighted, but that did not stop her from committing acts of extreme brutality. Her continued exposure to extreme violence may have shaped her sadistic personality, making her one of the most feared figures among the female supervisors of the Nazis. By doing this, you'll help increase engagement, so we can reach more people and stay motivated to bring more productions to the channel. But in March, Irma Grese was transferred to Auschwitz-Birkenau, one of the most infamous extermination camps in occupied Poland. Birkenau became the main center of extermination during the Holocaust, also functioning as a triage point for deportations, forced labor, and a site of torture and mass murder. With electrified barbed wire fences and SS guards watching over the prisoners, the camp was a scene of indescribable horrors. Although Irma had been peaceful in her childhood, in Auschwitz she transformed into one of the most feared guards, known for her extreme brutality. Her rise to power within the camp and the environment she was in made her notorious. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave a like. By following these 3 steps, you won't miss any updates and will also receive recommendations for similar content. The camp also became a sort of school of violence, training around 3,500 women who would later be sent to other concentration camps. After this tragedy, Irma and her siblings were raised exclusively by their father, whose rigidity and severity often manifested in physical punishment. At school, Irma struggled academically and was the target of bullying. Women and children, mostly Romani, were subjected to procedures aimed at finding a quick and efficient way to sterilize entire populations. Forced abortions were also frequent, often at advanced stages of pregnancy, with methods ranging from surgical procedures without anesthesia to physical assaults designed to induce miscarriages. There are also reports that newborns were murdered shortly after birth, completing the cycle of atrocities promoted by the Nazis. The guards and administrators of the SS were assisted by about 150 female supervisors, many of whom volunteered for the position, attracted by high salaries and relatively favorable working conditions. Ravensbrück also served as a training center for future female SS guards. The person responsible for this training was Dorothea Beans, a Nazi officer known for her extreme cruelty. Under her guidance, new recruits learned to treat prisoners with brutality and to extract as much labor from them as possible before their deaths. According to her sister, Helene, she dropped out of school at 14 and spent some time working on a farm doing agricultural tasks. Later, she moved to the city of Luckin, where she found a temporary job in a retail store. Stay until the end, because the fate reserved for Irma Gr was as surprising as it was deserved. Before we begin, we're heading toward our goal of 1 million subscribers. Ravensbrück, established in May 1939, was the only major concentration camp designed exclusively for women. During its years of operation, approximately 132,000 women from various European countries were incarcerated there. Among them were Polish, Russian, Jewish, Romani, and other groups persecuted by the regime. The brutal conditions of forced labor, diseases, and executions led to the deaths of more than 92,000 women. It may seem like a lot, but with your help, we'll get there. She was the third of 5 siblings. Designed to shape the new generation according to Nazi ideals promoting discipline, militarism, and absolute loyalty to the Führer. Designed to shape the new generation according to Nazi ideals promoting discipline, militarism, and absolute loyalty to the Führer. Although these organizations were popular among German youth, Irma's family did not share this enthusiasm. Her father, Alfred, was a deeply religious man and rejected Nazism, forbidding his children from joining these groups. However, escaping the influence of the Nazis was almost impossible. The regime also exercised tight control over the educational system. Schools reinforced devotion to Hitler, including his portrait in every classroom, and replaced undesirable books with materials that glorified nationalism, racism, and militarism. Schools reinforced devotion to Hitler and replaced undesirable books with materials that glorified nationalism, racism, and militarism. Born to Alfred and Berta G.R., her family made a living working in dairy production, maintaining a simple and rural lifestyle. The political landscape of Germany changed drastically in January 1933 when Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party came to power. The political landscape of Germany changed drastically in January 1933 when Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party came to power. The Nazi regime invested heavily in propaganda to spread its ideology, using posters, radio, films, and grand public events. Subscribe now, leave a like, and be part of this story. Irma Gr. was born on October 7, 1923, in the small town of Venn, which was part of the Weimar Republic at the time, the government that ruled Germany from 1918 to 1933. An essential part of this effort was the creation of youth organizations such as the Hitler Youth and the League of German Girls. Irma's childhood was marked by a traumatic event in 1936, when she was only 13 years old. In 1939, at the age of 15, she began working as a nursing assistant at the Hohenleichen Sanatorium, an institution dedicated to treating bone diseases and tuberculosis, which also served as a center for Nazi medical experiments. Irma Grese's dark path began in July 1942, when she joined the Ravensbrück concentration camp as a supervisor, marking the beginning of her infamous role in the Nazi regime. The camp was administered by the SS, which assigned both men and women to ensure its operation. Forced labor in Ravensbrück was one of the main methods of extermination, as prisoners were forced to work until exhaustion. By mid-1942, Ravensbrück became the site of medical experiments conducted by SS doctors under the leadership of Karl Gebhardt, with the help of Herta Oberhauser and Fritz Fischer. Additionally, SS doctors performed gruesome experiments related to sterilization. Irma Grese, who had known Karl Gebhardt since her time as a nursing assistant at the Hohenleichen Sanatorium, was exposed to this brutal reality while still very young. When she returned home in 1943 and revealed to her family that she worked as a supervisor at Ravensbrück, her father reacted with outrage. "How are you finding the content so far? Take a quick break and comment below saying I want more stories." Now, let us continue with Irma Grse's story as she heads to Auschwitz in 1943. She was soon given the nickname the Hyena of Auschwitz and the Beautiful Beast by the prisoners. Due to her cruelty, some prisoners, like Nina Seska, were treated differently and used by Grese as messengers or for intimate encounters. In another example, when Jewish prisoners were selected for the gas chambers, Grese showed not only indifference but also pleasure, often participating in the selections alongside other SS officers. Irma Grese's actions were marked by extreme brutality. and she continued committing atrocities throughout her time in Auschwitz and other camps until the very end of the war.